YouTube. It's Brian Phillips here, Aero Commander, Flaps Mod, Part 13. Just wanted to get some more done on this. At this point, we're just kind of buttoning up details. Eventually, we'll get an empty weight on this plane. But the last thing I just don't want to let go is this outboard flap, which is probably my least favorite portion of this whole system. Whoops. It's not as bad as it could be, but it's not as good as it should be, in my opinion. See how it's releasing funny? Just not real crazy about the way that's working. So I had a couple of different thoughts. One of the thoughts was to try and put a hinge in here. Maybe just leave that the way it is. But I've just struggled with this particular hinge a couple of different times, and I don't really think I've made a ton of progress. But it's one of these things where I don't want it to be halfway, because look how nice that one works. And it's not even perfect. But the main flaps, the inboard flaps, are looking really good. I'm really happy with the way they turned out. Just a little bit concerned that when I get up flying, I'm going to lose my airfoil here. So a couple of different thoughts were to basically take and actually put a piece of plastic on there that would receive the flap right to where it's supposed to be, even though we have that extra slop there. And so the way we would normally do that is come down into my garbage and basically find a piece of plastic, preferably something very small or very thin. In this case, it'd be thin. Now, if you had a piece of plastic that was clear, you could paint it. If you have a piece of plastic that's white, it would already blend in nicely. But all we're looking for is just a flat piece that's going to be large enough to cover up that void. So let's tape it on with a piece of this so that we can see how it looks. There's a little bit of a roll to it, so we'll do it that way. Now this isn't painted, so we don't have to worry about taking the finish off, but if this were painted, then that would complicate matters a little bit. I'm just curious if this will be enough to satisfy and try to get that nice clean look I'm looking for. Might also clean up the action some too. I'm going to try to get out of the direct light so you can see better. I don't even think I'm going to have the deployment that far. So if I wanted that to work, then really all I'd have to do is just try to tape it and probably do a little teeny strip of glue so that it holds it down tight and it doesn't allow it to operate like a spoiler. Well, I tell you what, that tape, that stuff is working really nicely. It makes me want to use just that colored tape and just paint it. But I don't think I'm going to do that necessarily. In fact, I think I'm going to trim this down just a hair. I could maybe stick it on there and see if the shape is going to work out good. It's hard to see in the video, I'm sure. Sorry, guys. But I think that's going to help a lot in terms of trying to keep all this in order. Okay, so that's one option. So we'll just kind of keep that in our back pocket there. Now the other option is actually a little bit more straightforward, and that's going to entail putting a hinge in there. Let's look at this side. See, because I think the reason that it's fighting us is because it's allowed to. And that's it. The other thing I think we could do is we could probably pop this whole hinge out and heat up the tip of this and just let it open up the hole a little bit so that there's no resistance as it works. So, but I'm not 100% sure that's going to work either. Let's do our test on the other side too. This might just be the simpler way of doing it. And sometimes just keeping it simple is the easiest, and it's the best way, the most effective way. Try to get this thing to autofocus well for us. It's like pulling teeth, guys. Okay, so honestly at this point I think maybe this is the easier solution. So we just go with this for now, and then we come back and do a different solution if we have problems. So I'm going to get another piece cut just the same size. Then I can paint them. And make it super easy. See, we've got this little rounded edge. This little rounded edge here. So I'll lose about 3/4 of that. Maybe just a little bit more. Take off most of that rounded edge altogether. Afraid it might impact a little bit with the way things fit. I'm just going for symmetry here. Try to keep them very similar. Okay, so now a piece of tape. Make sure we got a satisfactory fit on both sides. Trying to make it so you can see in this clear stuff makes that a little bit tricky, guys, so apologize in advance for that. Squaring up the edges right now. Didn't have it perfectly square. It's pretty close, but once you paint it, you'll be able to see a lot better. So I don't want it to be an issue. Okay. Alright, great. So I'm just trying to put it along that panel line that's already there. Give us that nice, clean, finished look. Obviously the green isn't going to be there, but we'll be able to see a little better for the video. Once that's glued down, then the flap has nowhere to go but into the pocket where it's supposed to be. And then I don't have to worry about the hinge binding. Plus the hinge will be heavy. So I could redo the tape, but I need to rehinge this spot too, similar to what we did inside with our piece of whatever we want to call that. That was a paper towel with CA. We kind of got to do that on both sides. So right now we got to get this peeled up and get this out of the way first before we dig into that, for a couple of reasons. One, we need it out of the way first because as soon as we get done with this step, if we were to do the outside first, then we will have no access to the top, or we'll have very limited access to the top. And you see how that's in plastic, guys? I have a better idea than what I was originally thinking. I might be able to make a small little metallic bend that's like a staple and just go right into that plastic. Maybe. We'll see if I can get that to work. See what I'm doing there, guys? I'm just pulling that into a little tiny hook. Now I just need to see if that hook will fit tight around this. There's too much play still. Gonna have to use one with teeth like this. Cool. Okay, so if we did that, then I can just clip this, because we don't need it to have very much penetration to get the job done. Okay, so now I need to take something I can hold this with, double check the fit. That's a pretty good fit. I just don't know if I've got enough. I don't know if I'm going to get enough out of this. You know, stopping it from moving and all. So we may need to squeeze that just a little bit more. I just dropped it right in this area. I'm going to pause it and I'll find it. I found it, guys. Had to use a rare earth magnet to get it though. Okay, so now that we have this piece back in our possession, I'm trying to squish it so that it closes down a little bit. Sometimes it's very hard to control these things, so you have to use two tools. That'll keep the alignment right as you squish it. Okay, so I just got that squished down a little bit. So now I need to double check the fit, And the easiest way to do that is to basically take this thing, this little teeny staple that I'm making, and double check the fit against the same piece, the piece that you're actually going to be putting in there. And I actually have it just a little bit too tight now. But the devil's in the details, guys, on this. On these little planes. That's why they're so frustrating to work on. But it's very rewarding when you get them done and they work. Because they work pretty good. Okay, so I want to just double check the fit again. I'm going to do it a different way this time. Yeah, it's still not quite enough. Okay, I'm going to hold it really tight this time. Just get up in here. Just turn the screwdriver. Should open it up just a hair. And we just need a little bit. Because you want it tight or it's not worth doing. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so now what I need to do is I basically need to get it hot and then stab it into that. So let's do that. Okay, got it warm. Evidently we don't have it warm enough. That thing's gonna be pretty hot now. Okay, so my next plan is actually pretty simple as well. I just don't think I'm able to heat it. I might be heat sinking too much. Okay, one hole. The second hole, we got to heat it up again. Okay, red hot. Okay, so now we can lay that down. So it can cool off for a second. Then we're going to take this. We're just going to stick it in there. Okay. Do you see it there? Okay, so we got to get that in there, obviously now. We just have it superficially stuck in there. Okay. Alright guys, I'm going to pause it and get this stuck in there. Okay guys, so I finally got that stupid thing stuck in there. It works pretty good, I believe. Okay, so now that that's in there, we just have to get a little bit of CA on there to kind of keep it from coming out again, or coming out ever. Okay, so I got a little bit of CA on there, a little spritz of kicker, and then we'll just run that mechanism to make sure the kicker doesn't activate the glue in the wrong spot. And that's why you can't glue stuff to this. You got to actually depend on the metal to be there. Okay, so we're going to do the other side real quick. Since I already showed you how to do that, I might pause it for this portion, but I'll show you what I'm going to do real quick again. I'm just going to grab it with okay, so just grab it like that, real hard, and just fold it over. Hopefully it doesn't slip on you like that. And you make a little horseshoe shape out of it. Just pretty simple to do that part. Then you'll take your pliers, collapse it most of the way down. You got to leave a little bit open. And then you can grab it like that. You can use a screwdriver to open that up if you overdo it. So anyway, that's how you do that, and then you'll cut that off. Hold it very tight. So you'll just do something like that. You'll basically cut it. You can cut this with whatever cutting mechanism you want to do. And this is just going to be super duper light, which is really what we need at this point in the project as we add these details to help make everything function right, but still not really doing anything other than just kind of assisting in squareness and trueness. Double check for fit. Okay, so I'm going to pause it and I'll come right back. Okay, so we got the same thing going here as we do on the other side now. That basically braces the outside, the outboard portion, while inside you've got the paper towel and CA. Okay, so we're braced inboard and outboard, and so now basically we have to get our hinging figured out for the final step, and then of course closing up the fuse and all that stuff, which is really pretty simple stuff. But I guess as far as the video series goes, wouldn't have to necessarily cover that. But you can see this, all this kicker and stuff, it wears out the tape's adhesive. So that's why you don't want to end up depending on just a piece of tape if you can avoid it. And that's part of the reason why I keep coming back to this, saying I want it to be better. You know, because it's just not very strong right now. And really all you're going to end up with is this mechanism here. And this thing's stuck on there with CA. And so it wouldn't be impossible that you could actually lose that component altogether. And that would suck. So, okay guys, one last little trick I'm thinking about doing is, remember how I was saying how all we'd have to do is basically get this to ream that out just side to side a little bit. Well, that's what we're going to do real quick. But we're going to use just another piece of steel, which is the same size. We're going to get this thing pretty warm, and it'll cool quick, so you got to work fairly quick too. And just give it a little touch like that, and then this one can be reattached. Now the other thought I had about this whole mechanism was that as much as I like it, I could also just attach the whole wing surface to this hinge, and that would be satisfactory too. So if we just wanted to attach that there, what the heck? Hold on a second. Oh, I wonder if we're running out of power, guys. Okay, I'm gonna pause. I'll get a new battery. Yep, our cells are dead. Okay, so we're working again now. Sorry I've missed that, guys. I just had my battery run forever. Okay, so you see how that would work? So basically that would be the other option that we haven't seriously considered. Except that would be glued on. So we're going to look at that real quick. Okay, so I just got this gerbo hinge. This whole floating flap idea I just think is not probably going to work. Too small of a plane. Too small of a component. These things are really light. And what I was going to do is I was just going to tape it on here. And we'll see what type of performance we get before we make a commitment to getting it glued on there. And the thing I like about this hinge is that it's a long enough pin that what's going to happen is it will hold it square as the action works. So we should be able to get away with just the one, so we don't have to do a second hinge as well. And we can probably do a second hinge, but I don't think we're going to need to. I don't think my tape is simulating this well. I'm going to get it taped and then come right back. Alright guys, I had to decide on going with basically the traditional method, which is just regular tape, because I just had one too many problems trying to get those hinges to line up and stuff. So I made the executive decision to go ahead and just go with regular tape. Should work fine. It seems to be a smoother action anyway. I was thinking that those other mechanisms would really help a lot, and they didn't help at all. They actually made it a lot worse. So surprisingly enough, the old trusty tape is going to be the best method. I think we are going to stick with this, but you guys just might see it on the next video because it's just such a simple thing. And I gotta just bend the rod down a little bit to make it square, but the action's nice and smooth now. I reamed out the hole just a little bit. But anyway, I'm gonna come back to you in just a second and we'll show you the other one then. Okay guys, so we've got the tape joints all done, and we glued these clear plastic pieces down. And I'm gonna probably paint those white. I just wanted to show you the action before I covered it. And then right there. And I'm probably gonna back off how far they go. But it's a nice clean action now. I don't think I want them to go quite so far down, but like this would have been pretty close to the full deflection, so we'll probably back it off a little bit. And now all I've got to do is basically close up the joint. But one more last quick look in there, how it all turned out. I can't really show you the action because it runs into the back of the fuselage now. And then these things are ready access. You can pull those off really easy so that you can work on them. They come off just spring loaded, and there is an adjustment. So really at this point it's ready to close up. So I'm going to close this up, throw a couple of pieces tape on here, and then I'll give you one more final look. Okay, real quick guys, CG, this is with a 370 milliamp pack in there. You see just slightly nose down attitude. I did have to put the voltage alarm in like I'd been running it, but as you can see, everything free. The motor's run. Rudder, steerable nose gear, ailerons, AS3X, everything's working. And we have full flaps, takeoff flaps, and of course we'll have to adjust the elevator correction. And now we're going to weigh it real quick. I'm going to get the battery out because we weighed it empty to begin with. Okay guys, so we're starting from 0. Make sure we're not running into anything, which we're getting close. Okay, there we go, 135 grams. That's compared to our initial 119.9, so 120 compared to 135 would be plus 15 grams. It's actually plus 15.1 grams total. That's awesome, guys. So we went from 119.9 to 135.95, okay? Or 134.95. Okay, so 15 grams added in there for our flaps. That's pretty awesome, I think. Okay, so one real quick reminder, guys. The difference between our heaviest pack that we used that I didn't like the way it flew and the lightest with the alarm, look at the difference. We're right in the sweet spot. This thing should fly glorious. Plus, we have the added benefit of the flaps themselves. So when we're coming in to fly, we'll be flying just slightly heavier, because I always thought the 370 was good for time, but I felt like it needed a little bit more weight. But then you could do all the aerobatics and stuff. How sweet is that going to look, guys? Flying really slow. I bet this thing's going to slow down really good. I hope I'm not wrong, because that would suck. It'd be a lot of work for nothing. I've never been wrong before on flaps. I've been wrong on other stuff, but flaps, I've never made a mistake and made it worse. So it was a ton of work. Thank you guys for sticking in there. This was a complicated one. I knew it was going to be hard, and that's why I did the Cessna 182 UMX first. It's my first dual DSMX receiver system. And by the way, that's about half deployment right there. And let's take a look at the real one. There's the real one, and there's R1. There's the real one, there's R1. Look how sweet that looks, guys. Here's another picture. Here's a real one. There's a real one. Here's R1. A real one. R1. Guys, it looks good. It looks really good. Give you one more shot on the scale here. Just try to keep this thing centered. I think I flipped over that piece of foam last time. We can do that again. Make sure she's zeroed. Okay. That is awesome. Can't wait to get you guys a flight video. I suspect the flight video will hopefully come this weekend, but I don't know that for sure. We're going to get the packs in it and give you one more shot with the lights before we call quits. Alright guys, one last look. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps, elevator, rudder, ailerons, a little bit of throttle. And then I mixed in some extra excitement. Give you a full deflection right away. Excuse the nasty looking chalk there. I just wanted to have something to keep it so I could give it throttle. I'll give you a view in the dark here. Darker. Shut off the big light. Take off landing. good in the video. So anyway, that's about it, guys. This is how I mixed in the last setting. I made a custom mix from auxiliary 1 to flap. You could just do flap to flap 2. And the rate on the up is 0 and on the bottom is minus 120. And then the offset's 40, and I just wiggled the offset until I got the flaps to just about 90 degrees. And I activate it with switch A. So this is switch A, the gear switch. Okay, so no matter what position I go into, it basically just moves the flaps into their most extreme position. Okay. So I got my takeoff, landing, takeoff, landing. Oh crap. That's what I call these things. Oh crap flaps. Because what's going to happen is, as you're flying along, if you deploy flaps like that, the plane is going to lift. And it's going to slow down really drastically. But you just got to be careful you don't stall it. So guys, that's about it. I don't know about you, but I've had enough of these videos. I'm ready to be done with this so I can go fly it. And it is going to be so cool. Finally we get to enjoy all these beautiful little details in flight. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell for notifications. This is Brian Phillips signing out on the Aero Commander UMX. Flap mod number 13.